All right, well, welcome to another SCSA Coaches Chat as we preview the 2025-26 SJHL campaign. I'm Jamie Neugebauer, and today we are joined by the head coach and general manager of the Weyburn Red Wings, Cody Mapes. Cody, great to see you. Always great to talk to you. First and foremost, how's your summer going? Did you get some time off or back to the grindstone?
Yeah, no, we definitely took some time off. June was a little busy for us, and then July was a good downtime for sure. How's yours?
Yeah, it's terrific. Thanks very much for asking. Now, we'll quickly step back and go to last year. I don't want to put words in your mouth. So what words would you use to describe, last year's run to the Cantera Seeds final?
You know what? I think it was another good step in the right direction for us. If you look over the 4 years that I've been here, we've continued to improve on and off the ice, and so I think that was I don't know what word you want to use, but that was another big step for us, and inspiring, I guess, if you want to call it that, for going into this year. I think a lot of the guys that we returned this year were, for as much as we've lost, a lot of the guys that are coming back were huge parts of the success we had. And as good as our 20s were last year, and Chakrabarty, and as good as those guys were, we are very excited about the guys that had that success in the playoffs last year, and kind of what they're the steps they're going to take this year.
For sure. And, that leads me into my next question. And I remember, Cody, we talked a bunch of years ago, after that first round series against the Battlefords North Stars, when they were such a juggernaut, you felt like, A, that taught the guys coming back a ton, and B, that really helped you recruit moving forward, saying, look where our program has. I can only imagine this summer is another step forward in that direction, both in terms of all the lessons that, maybe you could say what those might be for the likes of, Luke DK and Josh Sale, and the list goes on. I'm not missing anybody out on purpose. And also how that's helped you to bring new faces in.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's funny. Me and Braden talked quite a bit, and we were talking about that series not a couple weeks ago only, and I said to him, I probably didn't understand how important that, as silly as it might sound, that one win was, but guys got a taste of what it actually took to win. And it's funny, you fast forward to this year, there was games that were very similar this year where, we had to hold on for dear life. We had to block shots. We had to get good goaltending, and at the end of the day, we had to do the hard things. And I think over the last few years, the guys that have been here have learned that, and so we definitely are gonna build on that. And you talk about the guys that are coming back. Like, I mean, you look at the way we won games, especially the one win against Melfort. Guy like Josh Carman puts on a clinic on how to block shots, and doing little things right all over the ice. And so that's definitely the expectation this year. But they're driving that expectation. We've had meetings here over the last month or so, and just with our leadership group kind of thing. And so they are very much driving that expectation. And so, I mean, as a coach, when you look at that, you really feel like your message is getting through. And when they start using the language that the coaching staff uses, I think that's really when it starts to become player driven, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, great point. When kids are coaching themselves, you're doing something right. Absolutely. You mentioned there, obviously, Josh Carman. Obviously, Luke Schrader was wonderful through that run. Jonah Baird and Simon Martin took huge steps forward, and they, formed the nucleus of the start of your back end in front of, a guy that you think has a chance to be the goalie of the year, maybe in Ty Matanovich. You don't want to put too much on that, I'm sure, but talk about building, a veteran core from the back end out that it seems like you should be pretty happy with right now.
Well, yeah, like I told Ty this the other day when we talked. I'm really excited for Ty. Just not necessarily as just as a hockey player, but as a person. I mean, he had one start as an 18-year-old. Ends up in a trade last year, and comes into Weyburn and was very good for us. He gets a win in Humboldt that had to be stellar, and gets a win in Estevan that he had to be really good in, and so, looking at the small sample size that we have of Ty, I am very excited for him to come into camp as the 20-year-old, as the number one guy. He knows coming in that the net is his right now, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for a lot of guys like that. Carmen Schrader and Marty and Jonah, those guys, they're all in situations right now that they've worked hard to be in. And they're going to be given some leash to succeed in those roles. And we're, like I said, yeah, you see the growth that they had over the 2 months of the playoffs there, and it really does excite me for those guys. And we're obviously very different right now. We're not, last year we kind of knew we'd be able to outscore some problems. I think early on here we're going to be a very, very sound hockey team when you've got Lucas Schmid and Drew Moldy and Ryder Omler as your three centermen down the middle. They're hard to play against. They skate well. They're physical, and they're not going to give up much when you accompany them with that back end. So
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, part of outscoring those problems, as you put it, to use your words, obviously you move on. Ethan Dike and Jerome Maharaj and Max Chakrabarty. Obviously those are three difficult guys, to lose. But just talk about trying to generate offense then with this group, because again, they're another year older maybe, and try to take advantage of those opportunities that they had to watch those guys.
yeah, well, and I think that obviously would we love to have Max and Simon Martin on our back end this year? Of course we would. But I do believe that a guy like Simon Martin has a lot of the same tools that Max does, other than being 6 foot, not being 6'4". But I think Simon's going to slide into that role very well. You got to see him again. I keep going back to the playoffs, but at the end of the day, that's what it was all about. And so, got to see Simon miss the entire first round, miss half the second round, and come into game. I think it was game 2 in Flin Flon, and score on his third shift or something like that, and never look back. And so, Simon's been a guy that's been great for us, and so he's going to fill some of those minutes. Josh and Luke, they'll keep doing what they've been doing. At the end of the day, Josh had 20 odd points last year. So, I mean, we expect big things out of him too. And replacing those guys up front. I don't know if many guys have a player that is as exciting to watch as like a Jerome was or an Ethan, but we're going to be a little different. But we have all the faith in the world in our guys. Josh Sale and Turner McIntyre, and like you said, Luke DK and Luke Schmid. Like we really like our group up front. I think they're a business-like group that is going to show up every day, and really they want to get better. They want to make their teammates better, and so we're excited about being able to work with those guys.
For sure. Just two more questions. Really appreciate your time. Then I guess just talk about what you've heard, from the community. Do you feel a kind of an intensity, a sense of expectation now on you and your organization, given that you made that run last year, and we're in all those games, really could have even won it?
Yeah, I think that there's definitely some excitement. I think with with that excitement brings some expectations, and maybe a little bit of pressure, I would say. But pressure's it's a privilege to have. If you're not good enough, then there's no pressure. And so we're excited about that. I think that there was a guy here, I think Dwight McMillan was his name. He expectations are high in Weyburn. He set the bar for a lot of guys after him, and so we're excited to try to continue to be a top 3 team, a team that plays in league finals, a team that hangs banners. Like we want to be that team every year, and so I think that we have a good group here to start with that is going to start us down the right path here. And yeah, it's the like I said, the pressure is a privilege, and it's exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. And speaking of exciting, Cody, I know you like to start your camps early and get things going. Talk about what the timetable is and what's going on right now at the CPP.
Yeah, we're getting excited here. Our first guy rolled into town yesterday. Ty Matanovich is. I walked in this morning. His gear's hanging here, and so that first couple guys that shows up always gets the juices flowing, gets excited. And so you know what, we've got a smaller camp this year. We've only got about 48 guys or something like that here. And so it's going to be It's going to be a competitive camp. It always is. We've got our red and white game on Monday, and so it'll be a little different this year. With normally we haven't had 20-year-olds play in that game very often, and this year that'll be different just with the minimal amount of guys that we brought in this year. It'll make that game a lot more competitive, and getting right into it next week with a visit to Melville, and we're excited to get going.
Well, Cody, it's always great to talk to you. As I said, really appreciate your time as always, and all the best heading into the season.
Thanks, Nugsy. Good luck to you too.